They look just like everyone else, charming, confident, sometimes even magnetic. But behind that polished smile and smooth talk hides a predator. Psychopaths walk among us every day, disguised as friends, lovers, colleagues, and sometimes even family members. You won't realize what's happened until you find yourself drained, confused, questioning your own reality, while they've already moved on to their next victim. The scariest part, according to experts, is that approximately 1 in 100 people exhibits psychopathic traits. This means you've probably already encountered one. You might even be dealing with one right now. And if you don't know what to look for, they will continue to keep you under their influence, manipulating and taking everything they can without a shred of guilt. But you are not powerless. In this video, we'll go over 5 unmistakable signs that you're dealing with a psychopath and explain why you must walk away the moment you recognize them. These aren't just theoretical definitions. This is a real threat you may have already faced or could be facing right now. Don't miss a second. Overlooking even one sign could cost you years of your life through emotional abuse, broken trust, and shattered self-esteem. This is what they specialize in. Sign 1. Superficial charm and subtle manipulation from the start. Have you ever met someone who, from the very first moments of conversation, seemed to understand you on the deepest level? They instantly sync with your speech patterns, share your interests, catch your jokes, and notice small details that others usually overlook, as if they were made just for you. At first glance, it feels like destiny. They remember things you mentioned in passing, say exactly what you've been longing to hear, and show care and attentiveness precisely when you need it most. You start thinking, finally, someone who truly understands me. But sadly, more often than not, this isn't a sign of genuine emotional connection. It's a carefully crafted strategy. This is how a psychopath enters your life, not through pressure, threats, or aggression, but through charm perfected to an art. They don't feel real affection for you, they are studying you. Every coincidence, every compliment, every emotionally precise response is no accident. It's targeted information gathering. It's not affection, it's reconnaissance. Psychopaths are masters of psychological mimicry. From a young age, they learn to imitate empathy without actually feeling it. They know very well that by mirroring your values, vulnerabilities, and dreams, they gain access to the most important thing, your trust. Say you mention that you're burned out at work, and they immediately become the person who understands you better than anyone else. And while it may seem like genuine care, in reality, it's simply an entry point for future influence. You casually mention you love true crime documentaries, and that very evening, they invite you over for a spontaneous movie night, complete with your favorite snacks and little touches you had long forgotten you even liked. It's impressive, but behind this facade of attentiveness, there's no real joy in the connection, only a desire for control. This is how love bombing works. It's not a spontaneous outpouring of emotions, it's a cold, calculated strategy. You are wrapped in affection, promises, and shared dreams, so that you open up faster and lower your defenses. But the moment you show the slightest disagreement, fail to reply to a message right away, or ask an uncomfortable question, the person who was once so warm and attentive suddenly turns cold, distant, even irritated. And there you are, wondering, what did I do wrong? What you did was simple. You stopped being completely convenient for them. And that is the first major red flag, because real charm doesn't vanish when you assert your boundaries. But with a psychopath, it does, and very quickly. Sign 2. Pathological lying and psychological manipulation. Imagine sitting in your car, your hands trembling as you scroll through old messages, your heart pounding in your chest. You remember exactly what he said yesterday, every word is burned into your memory, but now he looks you straight in the eye and confidently insists that conversation never happened. What's more, he subtly suggests that you misunderstood him, or perhaps even made it all up. He's calm, composed, full of self-control, while you're on the verge of panic. Your mind starts racing. What if I really made a mistake? Maybe I overreacted. What if I imagined the whole thing? This is not a scene from a movie or some abstract theory. It's a very real, everyday form of abuse. It's pathological lying and gaslighting, tactics that slowly and imperceptibly erode your self-esteem, distort your sense of reality, and pull the ground out from under you. If you have experienced this, know that you are not alone, and you are not weak. This is one of the most dangerous signs that you are dealing with a psychopath, because they don't just confuse you, they rewrite your reality. Unlike ordinary lies, psychopathic lying is not a defense mechanism and not an attempt to avoid conflict. It is deliberate, predatory behavior. They lie not out of fear, but for pleasure, not out of necessity, but out of habit. Because lying is their way of controlling. Control over the truth means control over you. These individuals can invent elaborate details about their lives with frightening ease, about their past, their family, their work, illnesses, or tragedies. Today they had a strict father, tomorrow a narcissistic mother, and the day after that, a tragic accident that supposedly changed their life forever. At first, you sympathize, you believe them. But eventually, you start noticing inconsistencies. Yet if you dare to question them, they either explode with anger or instantly turn into the victim, making you feel guilty just for asking. This is the most subtle and insidious form of emotional abuse, convincing you that white is black, that things said out loud were never said, that your feelings are just hypersensitivity, dramatization, or emotional instability. Over time, you start doubting yourself, staying silent, second-guessing your own memories. And when your own memory becomes your enemy, the psychopath wins. Let's look at an example. He tells you that your colleague Angelina has been speaking badly about you behind your back. "I just thought you should know, I care about you," he whispers. Then he goes to Angelina and tells her that you have complaints about her. Suddenly, there's coldness, distrust, and confusion between you and her, and he stands at the center, quietly pulling the strings, watching as you lose your footing. This is called triangulation, one of the most powerful tools of isolation. It severs your connections with others, undermines your trust, and forces you to rely solely on him. And that's exactly what he wants, to become the sole center of your emotional world. The more chaos he creates, the more dependent you become on the illusion of stability he offers. Psychologically, you are dealing with someone who lacks any basic moral compass. He feels no guilt, no remorse. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he does it coldly, deliberately. His lies are not accidents, they are weapons. And he wields them masterfully. He knows that for a lie to sound convincing, it needs a grain of truth, and he makes sure to add it every time. He carefully studies which version of events you are most likely to accept, and then clings to it with frightening consistency, even when caught red-handed. What can you do? This is where Stoic philosophy can help. Its key principle is the separation of the external and the internal, what you can control and what you cannot. You cannot force another person to tell the truth, but you can preserve your own clarity, your own reactions, and your own sense of grounding. Stoicism doesn't teach coldness, it teaches inner balance. It invites you to pause and ask yourself, is this the truth or is this manipulation? You don't have to argue. You don't have to prove anything. Your task is to preserve yourself. Write down what happens in conversations, dates, promises. Not to seek revenge, but to keep your bearings when lies begin to cloud your mind. Stay connected with people you truly trust, outside the manipulator's sphere of influence. Sometimes, just one honest conversation with a friend can help you regain an entire reality. And most importantly, if you are constantly made to doubt yourself, your thoughts, your memory, this is not your weakness. It's someone else's game. You are not confused, you are being confused. You are not broken, you are being broken. And the one doing this feels your disorientation and uses it as a lever of control. This is the second unmistakable sign of a psychopath: pathological lying and psychological manipulation. And if you recognize it, don't try to fix things, just walk away. The longer you stay, the harder it will be to return to yourself. Sign 3. Lack of empathy and emotional depth. Have you ever opened your heart to someone, shared your pain, your fears, the things you hide from everyone, hoping for a simple nod, a kind word, some human warmth? And instead, you were met with either a cold, empty stare or a perfectly crafted response that somehow made you feel even worse. You sit there emotionally exposed, longing for compassion, but your feelings hit a wall. And then it hits you. This is not someone who feels with you, this is someone who observes you. Like a spectator in a theater, they're watching what's on screen, but not living it. And the screen is you. That's the gaze of someone who lacks empathy. And it's the third clear warning sign that you may be dealing with a psychopath. Psychopaths are skilled at recognizing emotions and mimicking them with unsettling precision. They can express feelings, choose the right words, hit all the right emotional notes, but they don't know how to truly feel, not on a deep, human level. What you perceive as connection is nothing more than a well-rehearsed performance. The words are right, the tone is perfect, the gaze is convincing, but the most important, intangible part is missing: the living presence, the soul. Empathy is what makes us human. It's the inner movement that allows us to feel someone else's pain as if it were our own. It's what makes us place a hand on a friend's shoulder, or simply sit beside them when words aren't enough. Psychopaths do not experience this. They view your pain as data, a convenient tool for analysis. They can describe how you feel, but remain emotionally deaf themselves, as if they're living life with the sound turned off. That's why, in your hardest moments, their reactions often feel off. They may get annoyed at your tears, offer a perfectly logical but utterly heartless suggestion, or simply detach, change the subject, glance at their phone, yawn. This isn't just a lack of empathy, it's a dangerous emptiness. Because for them, other people's feelings are not a value, but a resource, a tool, raw material for their game. As long as you're useful, you're interesting. The moment you stop meeting their expectations, you're pushed aside like a broken toy. It's important to understand, this isn't selfishness. A selfish person can still feel regret, can still recognize the pain they've caused. A psychopath cannot. To them, your emotions are a map, not to help you, but to learn how to control you. They remember where it hurts, not to heal, but so they can strike more precisely if needed. You start to feel it in the small things. You share something deeply personal, and in return you get coldness, a joke, or they simply forget. Not because their memory is poor, but because they don't see it as important. You try to explain, to be more open, thinking, maybe I didn't express myself clearly. But the truth is, you're speaking the language of the heart, and they're speaking the language of calculation. Even their closest relationships aren't about depth, they're about appearance, a mask of love, a mask of care. It can last for months, sometimes years, until one day it slips, and you're met with coldness, irritation at your emotions, indifference. And you ask yourself, what changed? The answer: nothing changed. You simply became inconvenient, or the performance grew too exhausting. And what's most frightening, the things you shared in your most vulnerable moments can and will be used against you. Not right away, but at your weakest point, to shame you, humiliate you, break you. That's not forgetfulness, that's calculation. This is the moment when the main question arises: what can you do about it? Once again, Stoicism offers a path forward. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." When you're around someone who lacks empathy, your mind will try to fill in the gaps. It will see care where there's only cold calculation. It will believe in their potential, not their actions. But Stoic wisdom teaches, see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. If you're met with indifference again and again, don't explain it away as exhaustion, a difficult childhood, or he just doesn't know how to express feelings. Believe what you see. Don't try to awaken a soul in someone who closed theirs long ago. Your power lies in clarity, in the ability to see actions over promises, to hear not just words, but the silence between them. Listen to yourself. How do you feel when you're with this person, especially in your hardest moments? Do they move toward you or pull away? Do they receive your feelings, or do they use them? Don't search for empathy where there is none. And don't try to fix someone for whom your pain is just another line in a script. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt completely alone, even though someone was physically right next to you? Did you open up and share something deeply personal, only to be met with indifference or mockery? If that resonates, share it. Write about the moment you realized the person next to you wasn't truly feeling. What was the final drop, the moment of clarity? Sign 4, a parasitic lifestyle and systematic exploitation of others. It all starts quietly, almost imperceptibly. At first, you don't even realize what's happening. He borrows your car, stays at your place for a couple of nights, which smoothly stretch into weeks. He asks you to open a credit card in your name, just in case of an emergency. It doesn't sound like exploitation. It sounds like partnership, a shared future, we're a team, but the truth is far darker. This isn't a union, it isn't trust. It's exploitation. You are a source, a resource. And this is the fourth unmistakable sign of a psychopath. a parasitic lifestyle, and the systematic consumption of other people's resources. This isn't about someone who has fallen on hard times, or a friend asking for help during a crisis. This is about someone who turns the use of others into a way of life. Someone who treats your money, your time, your space, your care, as things they are automatically entitled to. Think about how this might look. You meet Angelina. She's charming, ambitious, full of dreams, business ventures, startups, travel. You feel inspired, life seems brighter with her around. But with every opportunity she mentions, there's always some temporary obstacle. An investor backed out, her family urgently needs money. She just needs a couple of weeks to get back on her feet. And every time you become the solution, she doesn't beg, she says, "We're in this together, this is our journey, our future." You invest. Then the promises fade, the money never comes back. Responsibility dissolves, she moves in with you just for a little while. And soon, you're living with someone who acts like a partner, but pays nothing, helps with nothing, and treats everything around her as if it's hers. And you didn't even notice how it happened, did you? One small step, and suddenly you're entangled in a web, soft, sticky, but strong. Psychopaths don't ask, they believe they are entitled. They don't express gratitude, because they are convinced they have the right to take. They feel no guilt, because in their twisted logic, if you allow yourself to be used, you must deserve it. To them, you're not a person, you're a function, a resource carrier, a battery. And as soon as you become useless, they devalue or discard you, and they do it according to a pattern. First comes idealization. You are the best, unique, the one and only. Then comes the gradual devaluation. Jokes at your expense, planting seeds of doubt, manipulation through comparisons. Finally, a sudden departure, at the very moment you need support the most, without explanation, without regret. But even then, they don't completely disappear. And you're left not just without money, you're left without yourself. With a scorched self-esteem and 1,000 unanswered questions. Why didn't I see it? Maybe it's my fault. No, it's not your fault. They are masters of selection. They sense those who are open, kind, vulnerable. Those going through a divorce, a loss, a fundamental life shift. Those willing to give without immediately demanding something in return. And that is their terrifying strength. That's why your empathy is their prize. And when it's over, they even blame you. I didn't force you, you did it all yourself. This is the highest form of cynicism, making you feel guilty for their greed. Inside, they are empty. Their charisma is just a mask. Their relationships are not about closeness, they are about advantage. People are not partners to them, they are sources of supply. And once the flow dries up, you are no longer of any interest. This is where Stoicism steps in, as a shield against inner destruction. Epictetus once said, "He is rich who is content with little. He is poor who wants more than he has." Psychopaths have a bottomless hunger. No matter how much you give, it will never be enough, because they don't want love. They want control, not care, but power. You are not obligated to feed someone's void. You are not obligated to heal those who are destroying you. Stoicism teaches, if someone takes more than they give, don't justify it. If someone systematically violates your boundaries, don't turn a blind eye. If someone calls exploitation a partnership, stop and check who is actually building and who is just taking. Your task is not to persuade, your task is to preserve yourself. Not out of cruelty, but out of self-respect. Because the sooner you recognize the pattern, the easier it is to leave it intact. Acknowledge, this isn't a misunderstanding, it's a strategy. Not a random imbalance, but a deliberate use of you. And you have every right to end it. To reclaim your boundaries, your energy, your rightful space. Because to a psychopath, your kindness is just another resource. And the longer you wait, the more they will take. Protect yourself, calmly, confidently, without explanations. That is wisdom. Fifth sign, impulsivity and chronic irresponsibility. There are people around whom everything always seems to be falling apart. Their life is constant improvisation. Today they're fired up about an idea. Tomorrow they're already running from its consequences. They change jobs like gloves, relationships like outfits. Every story they tell is a drama, every past a tragedy. And in every one of them, they are the victim. It's always someone else's fault. The partner who didn't understand. The cruel boss, the ungrateful friends. Spend a little time with such a person and you'll find yourself cleaning up their chaos, taking on their debts, apologizing for their behavior. You are silently carrying someone else's responsibility. This is the fifth, final, and one of the most destructive signs that you're dealing with a psychopath. Impulsivity and chronic avoidance of responsibility. Unlike the cold, calculated manipulation we discussed earlier, this behavior feels almost helpless, chaotic, even vulnerable. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Psychopaths have an intense need for stimulation. Boredom is unbearable. Routine is like a prison. They need something new, urgent, exciting. A job, a city, a person, a project. Today, the love of their life. Tomorrow, I'm not ready for a relationship. Today, inspiration. Tomorrow, disappearance. And when the consequences finally arrive, they fall on you. Imagine James, charismatic, passionate, full of ideas. Listening to him is a pleasure, but behind the scenes, there's a vortex, unfinished projects, overdue loans, broken relationships. He takes money and forgets to pay it back. He promises to come and then disappears. He moves in with friends and never leaves. And if you mention any of this, he will get offended, angry, or accuse you of not supporting him. This is what makes this behavior especially toxic, not just the disorder, but the complete denial of his own role in it. A normal person, when they make a mistake, reflects on it, feels guilt, and tries to make amends. A psychopath doesn't. He rewrites the events. He doesn't just avoid responsibility. He blames others for his mistakes and does it so convincingly that you start to doubt yourself. Maybe I was too much. Maybe I didn't support him at the right time. But the truth is, you are dealing with a person who lacks a moral break. There's no inner pause between his desires and actions. He acts, and the consequences are shifted onto others. Every time, he blames circumstances, people, the system. This is why such people are so draining. You provide support, and in return, you get instability. You show loyalty, and you're made to feel guilty. You hold space, and it's invaded by destruction. Stoicism offers a saving clarity here. Chrysippus once said, "He who errs in his actions errs in his judgment." A psychopath doesn't just make mistakes. He doesn't see them as problems. For him, there's no reason to change, because in his eyes, everyone else is to blame. And meanwhile, you find yourself sinking deeper into someone else's chaos, forgetting that this is not your storm. You didn't break the agreement. You didn't disappear without explanation. It's not your life falling apart. You just happen to be nearby. Stoicism teaches, separate yourself from another's chaos. Don't become a rescuer where no one wants saving, just your resources. Don't give your strength to someone unwilling to take responsibility. Notice, he asks for forgiveness but never feels guilt. He wants your support, but all he offers is instability. He calls himself a victim, yet he's the one creating the turmoil. And if you try to set boundaries, he accuses you of being heartless. One day he's sweet, the next cold, then warm again. These emotional swings aren't random, they're a pressure tactic, meant to make you question yourself, your memory, your truth. So what can you do? Not save, liberate yourself. No matter how many chances you give, no matter how much you believe in his potential, he will not change. Not because he can't, but because he doesn't want to. He's not interested in stability, maturity, or honesty. He's interested in emotions, impressions, and control. He doesn't build, he destabilizes. Stoic detachment is not apathy, it's protection. It's clear understanding. Compassion does not mean being a victim. Love does not mean being used. Support does not mean destroying yourself. If you recognize yourself in this, if any of this resonates, know this. You are not weak, you are not broken, you are not alone. You simply saw, at last, who was standing in front of you, without the mask, and now, you have the power to act. Take back your boundaries, your peace, your resolve, and never again let anyone make you doubt your reality. You deserve peace, and you will find it. Thank you for watching.